You will now hear a brief retelling of the film A Love Affair. Enjoy watching it. Ellis lives in a small town and works as a waitress. Along the way, she performs pirouettes on roller skates and entertains customers. Alice has a boyfriend, Scott. He works for the police and has already asked her parents for their marriage blessing. Scott brags about his new Bluetooth glasses and complains that he had to pay for them out of his own pocket. The policeman takes the girl out to the best restaurant in town. Having had enough, Scott was about to move on to the proposal, but all romance is ruined by a worker who nails the sign right above them. Just as the ring was on her finger and Alice was about to say yes, the worker falls down the stairs and drives a nail into the waitress' skull. The nail had entered her brain by 5 centimeters, so there might be serious abnormalities in her reflexes, too. Alice was already being fitted with an oxygen mask to begin surgery. But then it turned out that she didn't have this kind of case on her medical insurance. The surgeon immediately shut down the patient and pounced on the burger. Pulling the nail out of her skull would cost the girl as much as $150,000. She doesn't have that kind of money. She didn't have time to marry Scott. So his insurance won't help either. And the nail is so deep in her head that it probably won't be long before Alice is drooling. Scott began to wonder if he needed a wife like that. On the other hand, all the mental breaks might fail, and among other things, Alice would become a real fury in bed. Maybe I would finally have an orgasm. But there would also be panic attacks, fits of anger, rage, and anger. Scott gently removed the ring from Alice's finger and said that now was not the time to get married and concentrate on the treatment. Instead of a ring, he gave the girl a hawk's paw, for good luck. The parents were willing to pay for their daughter's treatment until they found out the amount. At 22, they offered Alice a choice between a credit card and insurance. At the time, I thought a credit card would be more fun, but now I think it would have been better to have insurance. The family threw a party to raise money for the surgery. Brenda's girlfriend is already grooming Scott. A reverend comes up who is counting on misfortune to bring Alice back to God. Scott was about to speak to the crowd, but because of problems with the speakers, everyone immediately dispersed. Alice ended up donating change and a check for $1. Putting it aside won't work either. The waitress was fired because she started throwing herself at customers and swearing at them in Portuguese. A veterinarian, Rita, volunteered to help take the nail out at home. Ellis drank to keep her sore, and the vet drank to keep her hands from shaking. After praying, Rita stuck tweezers in her head and began picking at her brain. But the tweezers kept slipping. The part responsible for anger was affected. Because of this, Ellis freaked out and trashed the whole room. Scott got tired of the girl's uncontrollable behavior and ended the relationship with her. But there is still a 5% chance that he will return if she is cured. It's been 3 weeks. Alice is depressed and looks lousy. Her walks are accompanied by fits of rage. Sean also has a medical problem. When he was weightlifting and did the 250-pound deadlift, his anus fell out. There were all kinds of horror stories on TV, which made Ellis anxious. She saw a junior congressman, Howard, suggesting that citizens contact him if they have problems. This is a kind man, absolutely sure to help me, girl decided. Scott came in to pick up the polisher and to see if Alice had recovered. He does not believe she can be helped in Washington. But the girl had already made up her mind and arrived at the Congress building with Sean and the Reverend. Alice had brought a nail gun with her, and one of the guards thought she had been shot with it. The girl took the tool to visualize and tell her what had happened to her. Kashan calmed Rakisha down and immediately invited her into the restaurant. We had just arrived. Things happen so fast in black society. So Alice has only one associate left. Her secretary wouldn't let her in to see Howard. He's very busy talking to his mother. But the conversation was interrupted by Pam Hendrickson, MP and former astronaut. And she really wants to build a military base on the moon. Howard needs to find a man of the people who will support this project and say so on camera. Another helper, Bill, has already arranged for the Girl Scouts to talk about the base and make special cookies. The Reverend, by the way, also has a physiological problem of a constant boner so bad that his pants are chafing. He had to go to the hotel urgently and Ellis was left alone. Just then, a young congressman walked down the hallway. Ellis told him that she wanted to get rare abnormalities listed on her insurance. Howard replied that there was nothing he could do. He describes in color what a small man he really is. And that's when Alice got hit in the back of the head with an eagle. Her brain jolted and she pounced on the politician in indignation, dragging him into one of the offices. Howard was left utterly enthralled by what had just happened. Alice, on the other hand, told him about the nail that had made a scuffle out of her. It was all about him. The congressman brushed it off and was about to leave. But then he realized that Alice was just what he needed. A girl with an unusual problem was sure to get the public's attention. If she helps promote the moon base, he promises to give the green light to her project. The Reverend wonders how Alice managed to get everything settled so quickly. Well, it had to be done, too. Ali restrains herself from lashing out at the Holy Father as well. Rakisha painted Kashan as the leader of the Wolfpack. He lied to her that he had only come to Washington to help his friends, and that he himself supposedly had no problems. The company has come to an event about the moon base. Alice has to tell him that she needs help, and it is this base that will save her. The girl doesn't understand what her problem with the nail has to do with it. But the politician skillfully rides her ears. Girl Scout brags that Bill has promised them a Shakiri performance for promoting the military base. Along with her girlfriends, she looks into the camera and asks them to build a base on the moon. Alice was also put between the camera and the base layout. I have a nail in my head, and that's why I need a moon base. The girl was talking nonsense. But most importantly, she voiced that a military base on the moon would protect them all. The company celebrates a successful performance in a hotel room. Ellis was even invited to meet the Speaker of the House. Everyone dances, including Keyshawn, covering his sore heel. A drunken Howard cries and confesses that he always wanted to be a forest ranger, but his mother wouldn't listen to him. He tells Ellis that she is the one he has needed all his life. The girl assures him that his lust turned off when she hit the chandelier, so she's about to get him into bed of her own free will. The next day arrives. The Speaker of the House took a bite of a moonbase cookie with peanuts that looked like warheads. Sick constituents came to him hoping for the bill to pass, and for them, however, Howard lied and just now began to slowly push the idea through. But the Speaker couldn't push the cookie into his stomach and began choking on it. The 6 scouts realized they had no shot at Shakira or the bill. The girls declared war on the politicians. The Speaker was about to suffocate. The Reverend decided to help him, but the politician was embarrassed by a wiener that went up his ass. After that, Keyshawn attacked the man. The defibrillator also went off, but Hendrickson disabled the device, which only her assistant Edwin noticed. That's how the powerful moonbase sent the Speaker to the other side of the world. Scott is already dating Brenda. In doing so, he said, the percentage of probability that he will return to his former self has risen to 70%. At the funeral, Edwin tells his boss that he saw everything, and Alice is offended by the cheater. Howard offered her a voucher for one operation, but the girl wants to help her friends, too. Alas, nothing can be done unless something super dramatic happens. So Alice stood up, went to the microphone and said that the Speaker's last words were that Congress would certainly pay to remove the nail from her head. He also said to forget about the moonbase. The U.S. has enough protection as it is. Better to introduce a life insurance law. He changed his mind right before he died, so they should honor his dying wish. Ellis and Howard retreated to the office. The politician admitted that she is a fantastic liar. They argue over which of them is the better liar, and confess their love for each other. True, when Howard finds out that Hendricks is livid and looking for him, he decides to escape through a window and hide somewhere. He's complicated, but he's a good man. And he won't let me down. But the Girl Scouts volunteered to help Alice. If they got chopped up with an axe or had their face burned off during the hike, the law would protect them. They baked a special cookie, a nail in the head, and started advertising the bill. At this point, people tended to support it, not the moonbase. The Scouts even made a public service announcement about having to do surgeries at home. It's bleeding. But at least we have a moonbase. She decided to get rid of the Girl Scouts by accusing them of spreading lesbianism. Stop the Rainbow Poison says in the video. I will not rest until I find whoever made this outrageous video. Also, in no way do I support child lesbianism. Girl Scouts are looking for Howard. The last time they tracked him down was on his credit card, but then they lost him somewhere in Virginia. That's when Scott shows up at camp, ready to get back together and at the same time talk the girl out of her plan. She guesses Henriksen has bribed him with free Bluetooth glasses and tasers. Mustache begs Alice to go back to him, but the girl is more interested in where Howard is, who would help push the bill forward. Scott is sure he'll get the girl back if he finds this politician on the run. The cop enlisted his cop bros across America, and soon Howard was found among the forest cult members who had gathered around the campfire. He is here to learn his identity and become a man. Howard was supposed to fight another cultist, but Scott knocked him out. The politician must not be hurt. Soon the fiery warrior was taken to the Girl Scout camp. Clutching elbows and balls in his hand, he announces that he is leaving his party and becoming an independent. Tomorrow he will introduce a bill on health insurance. Howard kissed Alice and was immediately punched in the face by Scott. He gave me my first orgasm. What is an orgasm? What's the big deal? And the second? The policeman realized he was just being used. Alice had learned manipulation from politicians. The next day the motley crew went to Congress, but it was doubtful whether they would get anywhere, since Henderson had become Speaker of the House. Howard put the healthcare bill for all Americans up for a vote. That's where Aid Bill came in and provided testimony from one of Howard's clients who also got her bill introduced in exchange for intimate favors. Apparently, the same is true today. It is very easy for women to get their way with Howard. A blonde woman came into the room and claimed that a gun factory was built on the reservation thanks to Howard. The politician's excuse was that he didn't know what this private company did. As it happens, this is not the only case. Another blonde got through bedtime approval for fishing with dynamite. Here today he just wants a piece of this waitress. The word was asked personally by Ellis to speak powerfully. All in all, ordinary people don't have as good an insurance policy as those sitting here in Washington. And that's not cool. The girl pretended to feel sick, laid back on her grandmother, and declared that she believed in America. Everyone was so impressed with her speech that 38 voted in favor and 397 against. The law was not passed. Suddenly Alice fainted? The speaker took a picture for the papers and ran away. Friends gathered around Alice and only now did Rakisha learn that the young man wouldn't let her on her back because he had a red baboon's ass. Unfortunately, this is an insurmountable problem, and the girl immediately dumped him. Ellis asks where Howard is. And the scumbag has already negotiated something with Edwin. He claims the bill was a mistake and asks permission to rejoin the party. They need to build a moon base. He also suggested that they rename the congressional gym after the late speaker. As Ellis was packing up her hotel on TV, it was reported that somehow Howard's insurance proposal got into the bill passed to renovate the gym as well. Edwin was supposed to check the paperwork, but for some reason he screwed up this time. True, the insurance was only amended to cover a nail in the head of a falling out anus, a prolonged erection, a burned face, and an axe in the leg. The moon base was also approved. Howard was not at all upset about the fact that he was facing dismissal. It turns out the politician didn't pass on Alice. So she chooses him. Good thing Scott left a 48% chance that he would go back to Brenda. Howard was interviewed right outside Ellis's motel and running out into the street she kissed him. The anus was cured, so it wasn't long before Rakisha and Kishan's wedding took place. If you liked the video, rate your likes and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to leave your impressions about the movie. Bye.